Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're doing a get ready with me for church. So I would like to begin with two book recommendations. So I actually recommended this book last week, but I've finished reading it now. And so this is Catherine Pacifica's second book. Her first book was called None of This is Serious, and I really loved both of them. So this book is basically about a young girl who, it follows her growing up. So at the start of the book, she's 9 years old, and then she grows up through it. But there's this boy who she likes, who she knows, for all her life. And so it follows their, love story of them, basically, trying not to be in love and then, acting like they don't love each other like so many kids and teenagers do, because I feel like at that age you're afraid of love and afraid to be in love with people. So yeah, his name is Lorcan, the boy she likes, and as the story goes on and as she grows up and goes through all these experiences and gets experiences trauma, this hole in her belly, in her being, grows, and she gets the hole gets larger and larger, and she is trying to hide it so that people won't notice this hole in her being, this hole in her soul. And yeah, I won't tell you the ending, but it's a really good book. I really enjoyed it. And then the next book that I want to recommend to you today is called The Degenerates by Raden Richardson. So this book, it's set in Melbourne, but then it's also set in the United States, and it's also set in India, so it has different scenes in different places. But so far there's been a baby girl, and her dad basically just left her on the street, and then this other man came and picked her up and raised her as his own, and now they're living in Melbourne. And I love books that are set in Melbourne. I really love books that are set in Melbourne because I know where everything is, and so I can really imagine the scenery and visualize everything really well. So yeah, but then so she's living in Melbourne with her dad, as in the guy who raised her after her real dad abandoned her, and he owns a chop shop, which I believe is a shop that fixes cars and sells auto car parts and stuff like that. And his chop shop is services all of these bikies and all of these questionable figures. And after her dad dies, she basically runs the chop shop, and she is a big fat girl, but she's basically in charge of this whole chop shop, and all these gangsters and bikies and stuff really respect her, and she has a lot of authority there and stuff. And then the chop shop gets shut down, and then she starts receiving all of these letters from the degenerates, people who are on the fringes of society. And so yeah, I'm only at the beginning of it still, but it's actually really good so far. So those are my book recommendations for today. And Soft White Underbelly, Mark later has not been posting videos for the past few days because he's actually just released, I think today, he is going to release his first feature-length documentary. So it's called Fig. I am free advertising for him, but I'm happy to because I really love his work. So it's called Fig, and it's about Figueroa Street, which is a street in Los Angeles that has a lot of prostitution. And so it's a 2-hour long documentary. It's only available on his, he really should be paying me for this advertising. It's only available on his website, softwhiteunderbelly.com, where I am a member. I do have a subscription to his website because I really love his work. So that documentary is coming out today, so he will be taking a break from his daily posting for the past couple of days and then a couple of days after it. But recently I have been listening to a few interviews on Soft White Underbelly with people who are or were drug smugglers. So I listened to one with this man who, it was actually a really good interview. It went for like 2 hours. And he went to USC, so he went to the University of Southern California on a football scholarship because his dad like couldn't afford to send him to college. So he was like, look, I can't afford to send you to college, so you're gonna have to get a scholarship. And so he basically like started using steroids so that he could cheat his way into getting a football scholarship to USC, to University of Southern California, and he did. And then while he was there, he started selling drugs to all of the like students at USC, at University of Southern California. And like you can only imagine how many students would be wanting like Adderall and cocaine and stuff like that. And because they were, they were students at USC, they were too afraid to go into the streets and buy drugs from like a drug dealer. So he set up this whole like store where he had everything, like he had Adderall and cocaine and just like everything you could imagine. So he became this like one-stop shop for drugs here for his fraternity. And then from that, he went into gambling. He was very successful in the gambling industry, and he was very successful in the gambling industry. And then from that, he got involved with the cartel somehow. So I think he like lost his job or something, and then he was like, well, I don't know how, but he ended up getting involved with the cartel, and so he started selling drugs for the cartel. But then he had to smuggle some money back to the US, which was like really challenging. And so he trusted someone that he shouldn't have trusted with the money, and they lost like $3 million. He lost like $3 million of the Mexican cartel's money. And so he actually went and told the cartel what had happened. Like he told the truth, which I really respect that. And he told them like how he lost the money. And so the cartel like decided that they were not going to kill him because he told the truth. So they just said like, okay, well now you owe us $4 million and we're going to give you the opportunity to pay it back by working for us. And so, but then he had to figure out like how to smuggle drugs and money in and out of countries without getting it caught. And to his credit, he did. And he managed to pay off the full $400 million that he owed to the cartel, I think like 2 weeks before he went to prison. And so that's quite admirable. But it was a really good story. And yeah, and then he spent like 10 years in prison. But and then I listened to another one with a girl who, she used to smuggle weed, I think. But like she seemed like such a sweet, innocent young girl. Like you never would pick her for someone who was involved in drugs. I think she began as someone who trimmed marijuana, because marijuana, it's not like, it's not cocaine. It's kind of on the fringes of legality. Well, it was for a while. Now it's legal in a lot of places. But yeah, she started as someone who trimmed marijuana, and then she began moving it for other people, and she like traveled all over the world. But then she found eventually that traveling for leisure is actually far less pleasurable than traveling for like humanitarian aid, like traveling to volunteer and stuff like that. So now she does a lot of humanitarian work all around the world, and she seemed like a very sweet, very sensible girl. So thank you for getting ready with me for church today. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, God bless you. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.